Water is a substance whose molecule is formed by two atoms of hydrogen and one of oxygen H2O. The total of water present on the planet in all its forms is called hydrosphere. This covers 3/4 of the Earth's surface. Water can be found anywhere in the biosphere and in its three solid, liquid, and gaseous phases. Water is an essential element in the survival and metabolic processes of all living beings. In the case of human beings, for example, we have 75% of water at birth and about 60% in adulthood. The water collected from natural sources such as springs, rivers, lakes or rainfall is treated and made potable through filtration or other physical-chemical processes, making it ready for its different uses, especially for human consumption. We are in the Center Tank Facilities, an engineering project developed by the Metropolitan Aqueduct of Bucaramanga. This project was born as the necessary conception to develop an optimized distribution system of the city. With that reason, in this sector there was a neighborhood, a block, that is part of this neighborhood that had 11 old properties in construction in heavy wall and mud tile. However, the determination obeyed technical aspects, and it was thus how this place was selected. This polygon that we see on the floor represents precisely the center tank. That was what was done from the available area of this tank that has a capacity of 500 cubic meters. A spatial distribution of the city was made, covering from the west to the east and from the north to the south. Thinking about the educational and cultural aspects, the Metropolitan Aqueduct of Bucaramanga has found in this project a place of interest to illustrate the main roads and the most important places of the city. We would like to invite you to know the location of the water park in a few moments. The water park transformed the functional infrastructure of an aqueduct into facilities in which, apart from educating the visitor on how to care for and conserve our water resources, they fulfill a recreational function and family recreation in this place where water is combined with vegetation and fauna. Welcome to the water park. We are in the most important tourist center of Eastern Colombia. This project, as you are going to observe, is the pride of the Bumangueses to the extent that it has managed to make the integration of an engineering project to the urban environment. In 2001 it was decided to convert this treatment plant, built in 1936 and known as the Mororico tanks, in a tourist site, with water bodies, vegetation and integration with the landscape aspect. The tanks of Mororico in a tourist site with bodies of water, vegetation and the integration of the environment with the landscape aspect. I invite you to take a tour of the facilities of the water park. The different paths of the water park have been built in the famous Baricura stone, and those that are on the water bodies in pine wood. We are in the treatment plant of Mororico. This plant is part of the historical circles of the company that already has 92 years of age. We can see that the settling and filtration systems located in the old plant and storage tanks have allowed us to make the integration of a large engineering project with a theme park. We would like you to join us to know the environmental part in the northern sector of our park. Let's go. We are in the transition zone between the settlers and the lower part of the park. As you can see, this slope was reconditioned in such a way that several waterfalls were placed to simulate precisely the processes of oxygenation of the water. Falls into canals that surround the perimeter of the park and pass through the different ponds and ditches, which allow water to be permanently in motion, and when it reaches the lower part it is recirculated to start the process again. We have concluded our tour of the water park and have been in contact with an environmental setting that allows us to transport us to another dimension. Now I invite you to visit the flower treatment plant. We are at the Flora treatment plant, one of the 4 plants that the Bucaramanga Metropolitan Aqueduct has. In this plant we can observe the system from the moment the aeration process begins, but to attract the water to this point, we have previously made the catchments in the headwaters of our streams, which allows us through a reduction of 22 kilometers of channel. Finally, we have a reduction of 22 kilometers of canal. A reduction of 22 kilometers of channel to finally bring the water to this site. This allows the water from the fall and from the stairs that receive air to enter the treatment system that we are going to see next from the sedimenters to accompany. Once the aeration is done, the water enters the treatment plant. The water enters the treatment plant through systems that allow us to measure the flow rate. Once the water is measured, it enters the sedimentation tanks where the sedimentation of the particles takes place, that is, the particles of sludge and grit that are in the water begin to settle at the bottom of these tanks, which are located at the bottom of the tanks. This is the final part of the sedimentation process, and we can see that the water falls smoothly over the spillways that discharge into this channel and is conducted to a chamber that takes the water to the next phase of the process, which is the settling. Once the feed dam is completed, the water enters these channels where the application of liquid sulfate and lime is done to take it later to the procuration system. where the formation of small groups is generated that must be later eliminated from the water through the sedimentation process. Is the segmentation process. As you can see, the water has been gradually clarifying and, on the surface, it is discharged through these small channels that will lead the water through this central channel and then take it to the filtering system. And the sedimented water is taken to the filtration system through the filtering bed, where the last particles that remain in suspension are retained. Then chlorine is applied for disinfection effect. It is taken to the storage tanks, to the chlorine contact tank, and is delivered to the distribution network so that finally the users can enjoy the best water in Colombia. We have finished our tour through 3 important centers of activity of the metropolitan product of Bucaramanga: the center tank, the water park, and the drinking water treatment plant of Flora. We want to invite to all the viewers to visit the city of Bucaramanga, and with absolute confidence to drink the tap water, because Bucaramanga has one of the best waters of the country. It would be impossible to live without this precious liquid that permanently circulates through all the existing living and inert elements. For this reason the need to achieve the hydrological balance that ensures sufficient water supply to the population will be achieved by harmonizing the natural availability with the extractions of the resource through its efficient use, taking into account that the lack of water quickly leads to the extinction of life.